And we are live. Today we're going to talk about should you still be buying anything really, but especially electric cars this year. Obviously right now you can't even buy one because the dealerships are closed and Tesla showrooms are closed, but at some point once we're out of our apartments and houses and can stroll around free, it's going to be tough times. And I think it's going to be rough times, and obviously the economies, most of the countries' economies are definitely going to suffer at least a temporary recessions and maybe even depressions and stuff like that. So cars is not they're not going to be exactly a commodity that's in demand. So let's talk about it because I have not only a few thoughts, but I think I'm going to do something about it this year at some point as well. So by the way, since we're live, I'm going to talk to you guys in a second and answer some questions. Let's keep it on the topic at least for a little bit this time. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, normally we talk about daily electric car news, but there's not much going on now, so we're just kind of having a group therapy here live daily. But don't forget to click on the subscribe button. If you already have, then the bell notification icon right next to it so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, so here's the thing. With everything that's bad, usually there are opportunities, and I think this is one of the opportunities that we're going to have. Obviously, if your finances are still okay, if you saved up some money and hopefully you'll get your job back, right? If you had your hours cut, and if you're just being temporarily laid off, and even if you were laid off, the businesses will need people to come back at some point. This year may not be a bad year to buy two types of cars. First, we're gonna start with cars like Nissan Leaf, for example, or the one that I'm looking at even a little bit more closer this year, Jaguar I-Pace, and maybe even let's see, did I even bring this footage in here? And maybe even the Audi e-tron. The reason for that is that I've always liked those cars, right? They're not the best like Tesla, but they're pretty decent. The Jaguar specifically because it's going to be tough to sell cars in general. It might just be even tougher to sell the electric cars, right? Because the gas prices are going to be down for a while. So you can't have that argument like, oh, listen, you're going to save yourself a lot of money on gas. Now, you still will be saving some money, on gas, even with the low gas prices. But it's just not as compelling of an argument. So the sales are going to, but these companies, Audi, every company really out there still needs to sell so many electric cars, especially in states like California. So they will probably be giving amazing deals on these cars. Now, I-Pace somehow hasn't been selling that great, even though in a general scheme of things for Jaguar, they I think they're selling a relatively good percentage of their cars. Jaguar is not really a big company. I don't think too many people know that. They just don't sell that many cars. But the I-Pace in the US hasn't been selling very well, and they've been giving the already great deals. You can pick one up after incentives like for $50,000. All right, and I think it's going to get even lower than that once they're going to have to get rid of this year's inventory and start selling the next year's inventory. So this could be a really good deal and a really good time to buy. And the same goes for e-tron, right? E-tron hasn't been selling really well in the United States either. They've been pretty good in Europe, but in the United States, so like for example, I have a Facebook group for e-tron owners, right? And it's been going pretty fast. It's my fastest growing Facebook group besides Tesla. And most of my owners that I see are in Europe because the United States we're lagging. Audi is going to be in the same spot. They're going to have to sell all these cars that they have, relatively decent amount. So they're going to have to do discounts. Nissan Leaf is definitely a cheaper car. So they might not have as many trouble selling it, but nevertheless, you can buy the same type of Nissan for much less. So there might be great deals, and especially because here's another. I probably shouldn't just segue it like by the way, but also the interest rate is almost like ridiculously low right now, almost down to zero. That will also affect the purchasing, but most important, lease prices, right? Because the percentage is going to be very low. Car company banks will really want to get this going. By the way, if you do have a lease that's ending very soon, don't forget most of the banks will let you extend your lease up to 6 months. I've done it almost every time with this, so don't forget you have that option. Now I have a different video already on the channel about what kind of deferment, what kind of delay you can have on your current car payment if you are going through some hardships right now, financial, due to the global pandemic crisis, and almost every single bank is offering something up to, I think, 6 months. Ally Bank, I believe, is offering up to 6 months worth of deferments. The most important thing, and I'm just going to summarize it really quick, is call your bank. Call your bank and get the process going. But you do have to prove that you are, having some hardships. Now, there's a catch. Usually, you have to pay a lump sum at the end of your at the end of your lease or at the end of your purchase term, because they let you not make payments for a while. But that's better than having your car repoed or your credit score damaged, right? Okay, so check with your bank. But again, I think that something like Nissan Leaf can also go on a great deal. Now, a Chevy Bolt is already, like, literally they are right now discounting the Chevy Bolt by $10,000. And this brings this car, after incentives, which I believe it has, and definitely local incentives, to something like almost under $30,000. Some people are seeing it at $25,000. And the lease with the low APR is actually making it pretty attractive. If you're not repulsed by the car's exterior as I am, I think this is a really good buy. And I know a lot of people are very excited about the exterior of this car, so I think it's good. Now, Manuel asks in the chat room, why don't I have a Rivian in your list? Now, I actually also didn't mention Lucid, which I did have on my list. And the only reason I didn't mention Rivian is because I did not see the video clip that when I was going and putting all the video clips together. But Lucid and, do I even have Lucid here? Yes, I do. Here you go. Lucid and Rivian kind of go hand in hand here. They are going on sale now. Rivian probably not going to have a problem selling because it's such a popular truck and there's a reservation list and people who are excited about this truck. Yeah, obviously a lot of people will have to delay that, but because they will, this is the first time they're making car, they will just, same thing with Lucid, the production is going to have a relatively low volume. So whatever they're making, they will probably sell pretty quick right away. They won't have those problems, which actually brings me to another brand that I haven't mentioned, which I should have. Which is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Now, this is actually a great electric car at a really good price, and they're sold out, like, I think 80% of it of the first year. Now, even if a lot of those people fall off, this car would still sell relatively well, and especially once people will see what it is, especially once they, don't forget, Ford still has those $7,500 tax rebate incentives and the local incentives, so this car can be very affordable, and believe me, it looks great in person. I rode in one at the unveiling event, and it's really, really, really nice. I'm not saying luxury nice, but for the price, very nice. And I think because of the name, because of the brand, there's two things in the name, right? Mustang and Mach-E. I think this one will sell, but who knows? But what I'm saying is that you won't get a great deal on this car. Once it's selling, it's going to be selling at its price, whatever they're asking originally. Same thing with Rivian. But for other brands that I just mentioned, I think you're going to be able to get a great deal. But let's move on to why did I want to say Lexus? Tesla. All right, now let's talk about Tesla. I don't think Tesla will be having problems selling their cars as much as everybody else. They might even have enough interest where if they don't ramp up the production of Model Y that fast, they'll be able to sell all of Model Y, all of Model 3s. Model S and Model X, I don't think it's going to be affected as much because I think people who buy those cars will still be able to afford them. But, we'll see. Now, here's what I think where you can find a really, really good deal on Teslas. Used Teslas. People will be losing their jobs. People will be prioritizing other more important things. There will be downsizing. That's how it happens. A lot of these cars will be going either back to the bank. There will be a lot of lease takeover deals, which I just made a video about, which you guys really should watch because I've done lease takeovers a lot in my life and it's a really, really great deal. Actually, I might wait for one as well, a lease takeover on either Tesla or another vehicle. especially people who put a lot of money down. They've been enjoying low payments, but still payments, and you know, all of a sudden they lose their job and they want somebody to take over, and that's a good time to do that. Model 3s, you know, Model 3 used inventory has been tiny at the Tesla inventory, but just even if you look at Auto Trader, Craigslist, and TrueCar and so forth, I think a lot of people will try to get out of those cars as well. So I think there will be a market for used Teslas, people who just didn't realize they were gonna, you know, hit this, you know, recession, and they have to give those up. And I think that's where the second part of the great deals we're gonna lie. So those two categories I definitely recommend. All right, let me get to some questions. Before that, of course, I want to give you guys a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV that's coming next year into United States and Europe. The reservations are absolutely free, so make one using the link in the description of this video. And by Evanex, the aftermarket accessories for Tesla, new or used. Use E4Electric as a discount code for purchases over $100, or the link in the description of this video. All right, guys. Let me scroll up and see. First of all, let me know where you're watching from. Brian says from Austin, Texas. That's where Fully Charged was. Let's see. OC. Somebody said from their home. Great. That was helpful. Idaho. Sitting with hubby today. He just ordered a shirt. Future Tesla owner. There you go. See, some people might end up with just a t-shirt and not the car. Are you still gonna go for the car, Dawn? Let us know. Canada, Orlando, Florida. Rideshare supply says from the house. Let's see. With gas being so cheap, do you think this might hurt EV sales? Yes, I do think so, because that argument actually goes away once people don't have to spend $200, $300, $400 a month, and they see they're spending, you know, less than half of that. You know, electricity is not going down in price, though. That's a possibility as well. Then of course the argument becomes much tougher to make. But just like I said, I think the prices will go up relatively quick. Right now the prices are down because no one's driving, right? Nobody to drive to work. Uber is down, you know. But once things ramp up relatively quickly, I believe the prices will go up. Don't forget that before this, Russia and Saudi Arabia was trying to screw American oil industry by playing with prices and you know, overproducing and stuff like that. So that might still be in play, where our prices might actually go up because of that and many other reasons. So I wouldn't, you know, since you're buying your car for 3 or 4 years ahead, you know, that might just be an issue moving forward. And still, there's a case to be made about not having to do oil changes and tune-ups and transmission fluids and stuff, and less repair and no maintenance. And there's still a pretty good argument to be made. And if you have solar panels on your house, well, then you're definitely better off, no matter what, with an electric car. All right. Jeff says, I wish I could afford a Tesla. Well, maybe sometime soon you will. Let us know what would be your budget to buy a car, an electric car. Jeff says, might have to find a used Leaf. You know, used Leafs, just like I had a video out, used electric cars under $10,000. And it's still up. I mean, you can easily scroll down. I think it's only a couple of weeks old. You know, you can find those ridiculously cheap, like a few $1,000s, but the one with the low mileage, you can pick it up still under 10,000. The first generation, I mean. Let's see. Brian says, if Bolt was only a little bigger, hint, hint, hint. Well, they're not going to touch it. I don't believe they're going to touch it. But I mean, they're not going to touch the Bolt. They're going to refresh it. And as I told you guys, I've seen the new refresh Bolt. It did not turn into a beauty, but they have a longer base version of it. I forget what it's called, but it's going to be a little bigger. So there you go, Brian. Brian says, Lucid looks pretty amazing. It is. You know, I got to tell you, I mean, that company was almost dead, right? And then all of a sudden, with their $1 billion investment, they kind of came alive. They got their CTO. They promoted him to CEO, Peter Rawlinson. He's been on the show a couple of times. I just had an exclusive look at their very first showroom with him kind of talking about it. You can see that on my channel as well. I don't think anybody got to see that, showroom after me, because I did it, and after that this whole hell broke loose. But it is a beautiful car. They have not changed much about it. They were supposed to unveil the final production design at the New York Auto Show, which got canceled, and they haven't really announced the plan what they're gonna do instead. But it is a beautiful car. They are not changing look that much inside or out. I think it was already beautiful, especially on the inside. But what have changed is the technology that they have in there, and they just did a bunch of testing. I just talked to them today actually, and they are saying that they're going to have over 400-mile range. So that's great news. Let's see. Daniel says Nissan Leaf available in the Philippines now. First good electric car, but it's 70,000 American dollars. Ouch, ouch indeed. Daniel, you can, yeah, wow, that's a tough sale. Okay, so like, let me ask you this: who's gonna buy that car? Like, how much would a Mercedes be for that price, or a Tesla? Well, I guess, well, yeah, how much is a gas Mercedes? Like, okay, Tesla's not being sold there, but how about a gas Mercedes? I really like and could see myself driving the Mach-E, but I couldn't see myself buying this over Tesla unless this was $10,000 less than the Model Y. I believe it will be $10,000 less because, well, $7,500 less, right? Because you'll get the incentive. Jeff asks, have you heard that GM and Ford say they will only make like 350,000 cars in the next few years? They don't understand. Jeff, we did go over this, so let's clarify it. Ford and GM said that they, and it didn't say, this kind of leaked, so I'm assuming things will change. For example, if we here in America will get a new administration that will be much harsher on automakers as far as, having to make environmentally friendly cars. So that can change. Right now, we don't really care, it looks like. But they said 350,000 electric cars by 2026 in the United States. They're going to be each producing at least 1 million of them in entire, in an entire world, because they are going to be selling them mainly in China and Europe. So we discussed this before, and I'm telling you, we got ourselves to blame. Okay, we have a government right now that, for whatever reasons you voted for or against the government, that is not making it as attractive, or at least they're not forcing the automakers as much as European countries and China into making electric cars. So when those automakers have to make electric cars, they're going to be selling it where they have to, where they're basically selling them not to get punished. China, European countries, but here, vote. If this is that important to you, then vote for whoever you think is on your local government and your federal governments, your congressman, president, and so forth, who you think will make this happen. Brian says, I've seen used Tesla Model S for anywhere between $25,000 to $29,000. That's right. They are 2012 and 2013 cars with a relatively high mileage and out of warranty, of course. No autopilot, none of that. And yes, you can get that. You can get a car for that price, but don't forget. So those kind of hit and miss, right? They were pretty poorly made at that time, right? One of the first few thousand, and they either are still cars that break down a lot, or everything that was supposed to break down on those cars already has, and it's been replaced by the previous owner. So, be careful of those. But yeah, if you really, 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 really want a Tesla, you can pick one up about 25. I even saw a $29,000 Model S on Tesla.com, which also included a warranty, and it was under 100,000 miles. So, all right. Helmut is from Orlando, Florida. Dan from San Luis Obispo. I love San Luis Obispo. I should drive there now that, well, yeah, okay. Panama City Beach, Florida here. CC, welcome to the chat. Felix says a local from Hawaii, but moving to Lincoln, California this summer. Oh God, Lincoln, California is right down the street from me. What? Why are you moving from one of the best parts in the world to one of the worst parts in the world? I can barely live here in Sacramento. So, are you sure? You might want to give it a second thought there. All right, Dan says PG&E just raised the electric rates here. Oh wow, I did not know that. See, there you go. I really, yeah. Oh, don't get me started. Okay. Don says it's on my bucket list, but I don't plan to kick it in the next few years. Well, we'll see about that, right? We all might kick it very soon with whatever the hell was going on. And by the way, a lot of people might kick it not just because of the virus; they might kick it because they, you know, just can't get into a hospital. You know what I mean? Like it's hospitals are overcrowded. I'm joking, of course. I'm hoping it's fine, but I'm telling you, all of a sudden it's not as not as like obvious anymore, right? That we're all gonna be okay no matter what. So, all right. Next few years, someday it will just be a daydream. All right. Well, just like I said, look, watch out for the used Teslas. I mean, I think that might be good. All the best from Vancouver, Canada. Says Ionut. Ionut. All right. Arizona, Chandler, Arizona. What do you think about the 2017 BMW i3 with range extender? I think the BMW i3 with a range extender is obviously the best plug-in hybrid out there, with the best plug-in hybrid range out there, with a great BMW technology in there, but one of the ugliest car that I have ever seen in my life. So if the looks don't bother you, then it's a good car, especially if you can get it cheap. As a matter of fact, you know, when I was making that used electric cars under $10,000 video, one of the cars I feature was a BMW. It wasn't 2017, I think it was 2015 or 16, BMW i3, and it was going for like $12,000. So you should be able to pick something up between 15 and 20 for sure, $1,000, depending on the mileage. But again, I'm just not a fan of what it looks like, but inside the technology is not bad, especially if you have a range extender. Environmental Canadian reminds everybody to hit the like on everybody. It helps Alex's channel. This absolutely does. The channel is like actually most publications on most electric car channels right now are tanking because not too many people want to talk about electric cars that they can no longer afford. They'd rather either see what's going on with the news, or just want to watch like cat videos because that's what takes their mind off. So I understand. Joel Martinez says, hello Alex, stay safe, love your channel, I appreciate it, you stay safe as well. I have actually not interacted with any people in the last 24 hours. It's for the first time. So that's that. Brian says, yes, so many other benefits. Or if you live in a city with plenty cheap or free electric charging, in Austin, Whole Foods is free charging, countless restaurants, and Rudy's Barbecue has free charging. There you go. Oh man, now you made me hungry. By the way, one of the things I'm embracing about this whole thing is I have never had deliveries. I've never had deliveries in my life, and now I'm like, oh, that's kind of nice. Someone bringing me food, because I used to always love to go out, right? Just because in general, I like to be out of the house, and especially the last couple of years since I started doing this full time, I work from home, and I like to get out of the house, so deliveries is no. But now that's the only option, and I don't really want to go somewhere. I'm kind of really embracing it. I'm actually just about to order for the second time. I use Uber Eats. I don't know if like I know there's a Grubhub. And a few others. I don't know if you guys should use others. Let me know if you do, and if they're better or worse. Like, is there a difference at all? So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that. I'm gonna be doing that in a little bit once I'm done with the stream, actually. Manuel Wagner asks, do you know if there's financing or leasing available from Rivian Direct, or would you have to do something like this with your house bank? So I doubt Rivian's going to be leasing cars right away. A startup that's producing its first car, or maybe even a second or third one, leasing is not a good deal for them, right? Because that's money that's being deferred, and they want to get all the cash. This is why Tesla doesn't lease their new cars. I don't know actually if you can with Model Y, but when Model 3 came out or Model S came out, you could only buy that. So I'm pretty confident that that's what's going to happen. And yes, I doubt Rivian has time or money or to create their own bank. I think they're going to partner up with a bank. I mean, I remember even when I had a Jaguar like maybe a decade ago. No, it wasn't it was less than that. But even they were partnering up with U.S. Bank, I think, until a certain point. So I don't see Rivian financials anytime soon, and I don't see them leasing the Rivian trucks anytime soon, but I could be wrong, and I hope I am pleasantly surprised. Let's see. Hope we get rid of the orange one soon. All right, guys. No politics. No politics. I mean, I do talk about administration, but honestly, it's only in a very neutral way because I am an independent. I'm not a Republican or Democrat, so my opinion is actually in the middle anyway. But I also distinguish between the federal government and local government because whatever is happening right now in the United States, you can blame people up there in federal government, but I don't think our local governments are really that much, they're responding that much better, because to me, I think we got problems. I hope we learn our lessons from this, which we probably won't, but we'll see. I think everyone's got, there's plenty of blame to go around, and I hope we make it through it. Let's see. Daniel Ferran says imported cars in Asia have very high tax and no incentives. That's why 70,000. Okay, that I understand. Brian says I love California. West Coast weather is worth millions compared to Texas summer. Well, by the way, here in Sacramento, California, the summers are brutal. Like we get, okay, I'm a Celsius guy, but in Fahrenheit it gets up to 110 degrees. Like you can't get out of the house until like 7 p.m. Like it's impossible. You will just melt. So it's not all great because we don't have access to the ocean, so that the air gets cooped up. It's very hot, and allergies are also are more common here. So yeah, I moved into a wonderful California town. Brian asked, want to trade me from Sacramento to Austin? Well, because I'm a single guy and dating here, I believe is like the worst city in the world, which I can confirm because I travel a lot, as you guys know. I travel 2 or 3 times a month, not now, but generally speaking, before this, and probably will continue doing so. So I get a reality check all the time, and I can definitely confirm that Sacramento is one of the worst, if not the worst cities to date in. So for that, I might just take Austin. Yeah, I might, Brian. So we'll see. It's just I live in my own house here, so I would have to rent it out. But all right. Let's see. Piotr says, just sold my 2014 with autopilot for $23,000. Wow. 2014, I'm assuming Tesla Model S, right? Because there was no X. Yeah. It had a lot of scratches and all wheels scratched up. I seen fair, $91,000. You know what? That's not a bad deal. I could have bought it from you, depending on the color. If it was like red, white, or black, Okay, interesting. Jeff says, hope your date at Safeway went good. Yeah, when did I did go on a date very briefly with the social distancing and everything, but that didn't go very well. Yeah, don't get me started. Let's see. Dan, I'm usually not a fan of. Dan says I'm usually not a fan of live shows on YouTube because they're laggy and pixelated, but yours is clear right here. Good job. It doesn't only depend on me because here, yes, I have my home studio. My camera is really nice Sony HD camera, and I have a very, very fast connection that I pay extra for to Xfinity, and so it's supposed to stream very well. A lot of times, the reason people don't get a good live stream is because of their connection as they're receiving, and YouTube as an application, whether it's on your desktop or on your phone, will adjust. Like they'll say, whoa, your phone or your connection cannot handle HD, we're going to downgrade it and do it in 720, for example, right? And that's, even though the original signal was good, it will be sort of the quality will be downgraded by YouTube, so you don't have to have the choppy video, right, or sound. Let's see. Oh, he says, like, you're right here. All right, well, you have a good connection. Let's see. Michael S. asks, hey, Alex, have you had any major repairs on your hybrid? So I don't have a hybrid. I have a plug-in hybrid, which is a Chevy Volt. It's a huge difference because I mainly drive it using electricity and rarely drive it using gas. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've gassed it for over a month now. Did you have any issues finding someone to work on it? Well, I did not have any major repairs. It's about 2 years old. And, oh no, I had one time, which I guess it was kind of my fault, but it was just some smell coming from the car because I guess I forgot to fully turn it off in my garage, and it kind of smelled up my garage with a funky smell. So I guess that's normal. You're just not supposed to leave your even electric car on in your garage for hours. But when I did need the repairs, I just went to a Chevy dealership. So They should be able to repair it. But once it beyond warranty, I don't know, because I don't like keeping cars beyond warranty. That's why also one of many reasons why I lease. I should make another video about why people should lease cars, especially nowadays. Sorry guys, just gotta get some tea with honey, because otherwise my voice is gonna go. Steve, what's going on? He asks, did Faraday Future, or was it the defunct SF Motors that use facial recognition to open the car doors? So originally Byton had that technology in there, and then they kind of backed off of it for now. I don't know if Faraday Future has that, but SF Motors, and by the way, SF Motors are called something else, some horrible name that they made up. I haven't heard about SF Motors in a long time, so I don't even know if they're like out there yet. Still, not yet. Still. Don asks, is there anything? Is there anything specific to be concerned about with an electric when buying used? I want to be a smart shopper. Yes, I have a bunch of videos about it, but it's essentially, I mean, I literally just made a video about it, and I have another one with Rich Rebuilds that is a regular contributor to this channel. I haven't released that video yet, but I will soon. So first of all, you need to make sure that the car is fully charged, and if they don't have a charge, then tell them to do so, and fully charge, meaning like have their limit to 100, meaning like maximum can take, and see how many EPA rated miles that car has versus how many rated miles it's supposed to have when it was new. Okay, that way you'll know what the percentage of the battery was degraded, okay, and over which period of time. That's number one. And actually probably the most important one, but everything else is kind of the same, right? Like make sure to do your own research, Carfax, all of that stuff. Now with electric cars, you don't use brakes as much, so sometimes brakes get a little rusty because they're not getting as much sort of work. So you might want to look at the brakes and the brake pads. And obviously make sure it has a charger that comes with it, because if it doesn't, you might be on the hook for another $500 to $1,000 in some cases. So make sure you have that. Make sure that it is charging. Make sure that they plug it in and you see it being charged. Obviously drive it. But everything else that I can mention is something that you would be doing with pretty much any other car. If it's a Tesla, or really any other car, go and check on their history with not just Carfax, but if they ask the owner to have the dealership or Tesla service print that out for you, so you know what the history of this car was. Though that's pretty much it. But I have a video coming up with Rich Rebuilds, and he's giving the advice on what you need to do, and he actually like goes really into details about like how you want to check for the moisture underneath the floor mats, because that's where a lot of times it stays in because of the battery emitting. It's a really good video. So don't forget to subscribe, and it'll come out relatively shortly. Let's see. Model Y VIN. Oh, you have VIN 381, says Piotr. Nice. Let's see. Steve says the only place in California with moderate weather is San Francisco. No, San Francisco has a horrible weather, but the weather is not the problem there. It's the aggressive homeless who are basically now are driving people away, where they became so aggressive that they're shooting up on the streets and pooping on the streets right in front of your kids as you're walking around. Everything smells like piss and everything. Like I've not really visited in San Francisco, and there's no parking. I would not recommend to San Francisco, honestly, to like my worst enemy. I've lived in the Bay Area for 25 years, and I've always stayed away from that city. And Brian says, I love San Francisco. I'll do anything to go there in summer from Texas. I would reconsider, but go ahead, learn your own lessons, Brian. I'm gonna like just I'll let you find out. I'm just not a fan. I know quite a few people who absolutely love San Francisco, and they are even moving out of San Francisco. There are conferences. They've been in San Francisco for decades, and even they're moving out of there just because of homeless situation and no parking situation and all that stuff, and how ridiculous the prices are at the same time. It's you pay $5,000 for your apartment a month in rent, and you come down just to like try to avoid being stabbed by like a homeless guy. So it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like I live in Sacramento, and again, I'm not having a great time here, but our homeless here are pretty chill. Like I have not had any negative interaction with homeless people here at all. They kind of keep to themselves. When they, when they actually beg, they're not aggressive. They're pretty polite. That's my experience with homeless here has been not bad at all. Let's see. Felix says moving from Honolulu to the Bel Air Force base because my wife is military. Oh, I see. That makes sense. All right. Well, that's going to be a change of everything. So, but I live in Sacramento. Lincoln is like what, 20 minutes away. Let's see. Brian says I can't see myself driving my Kia Soul EV past its 10-year 10,000-mile warranty. Would hope to have a Cybertruck by then. Me and Tom just did a video we've taped earlier today. We're going to release it on Sunday about how we believe, at least he definitely believes, and I agree with him, that Cybertruck production will be delayed. So watch that video too. Brian, what EV? Brian asks. Brian Fenwick asks, what EV are you definitely going to buy? Byton, Rivian, or Cybertruck, etc. What the main feature you want personally? I really want to buy a Byton. It's just they've pushed it out so many times, and now because of the coronavirus, I'm assuming it's going to get pushed more, that actually my Volt lease will expire before I'm probably going to be able to get it. So, but I still want to get a Byton. But before that, I'm probably going to end up with a Jaguar I-Pace. If they have a really like killer deal, which I think they will at the end of this model year, in what, 6 months, and if I have enough money to afford it. Audi e-tron is also something I'm considering, so I think that's a decent car, but it's gonna depend. To me, it's a little bit easier because I can have my business lease it, so it's kind of like getting 40% off, right, or 30-40% off of everything. That has to do with this car because when you lease from your business, it's kind of almost tax-free, right? Because I do need an electric car for my business, which is kind of my entire business. So, but so I believe I can really pick it up pretty cheap. So Jaguar I-Pace. I was almost bought it originally, and then I really sat in it, and I really didn't like how small the steering wheel is. But for a really good price, I'm gonna have to just live with it, Let's see. Helmut asks, what are your expectations for Tesla Q1 deliveries? Jesus, not good. Just like for everybody else. I mean, normally, as you know, Q1 is not good to Tesla or any electric car maker. So they were already supposed to be low. Though, compared to last year's, yeah, definitely was supposed to be much higher because now the Shanghai factory was operating at a pretty good pace until it got closed, right? But because Shanghai factory wasn't operating, now Fremont factory is not operating, and it's hard to sell, right? They're doing the touchless deliveries and stuff like that, but it's gonna be bad, just like everybody else. So yeah. Let's see. Don says, I subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate it. I will look for the posting. This live stream has been the highlight of my week. Thanks. Oh, listen, this is why I'm doing it normally. So I used to do these, all of my videos live once a day. Then somebody stole a video from Rimac, right? One of the hypercars, the electric hypercars. And I used their video as the press video, which I'm allowed to anyway because I'm a news outlet, right? So I can use other people's footage without really asking or getting permission. It's called fair use. Don't want to bore you with that. But somebody, like I guess in India, stole that, and YouTube allowed them to steal it, which is, don't get me started on YouTube. And then they put a copyright, what's called strike against my channel. And it took me 2 months to fight it off. I was right. They had to, take the strike back. But while you have a strike, because you're like with YouTube, you're guilty until proven innocent, right? So it took me 2 months to prove myself innocent. And meanwhile, I couldn't live stream. So I was like, screw this. I started streaming on, well, I started screaming first. Then I started streaming on Patreon, where people actually pay like $1 to $5 or more if they want to, sort of a monthly contribution to help me grow in my channel. And I really appreciate all of my Patreons. And I do what, and I started going live there and then reposting things next day on YouTube. So my Patreons get to watch me live. They always have first access to me. I always answer all the posts and emails, and then they get to be the first ones to consume my content. So I started doing that. But now that we all kind of need group therapy, in addition to posting one video a day, which is Patreon first and then YouTube, In addition to that, I now do this live streams. And what I've done 4 or 5, and it's I like doing this. I really miss hanging out with people and doing this live stream. I don't know why I'm hearing a noise outside of my door, so I'm gonna look at my security cameras here. But meanwhile, let's see. Anyone's robbing my house? Doesn't seem that way. Okay. Where was I? But I appreciate it, Don. I really do. Manuel Wagner says, "Did you hear anything to or know how it works with repairs warranty at Rivian, since they have no car dealerships? Especially, I'm from Canada." So they will have service centers. Obviously, they're not just going to launch and say, "Well, we'll figure it out later." They will definitely have service centers. I'm assuming they're going to build them or most likely partner up with premier shops, repair shops and service shops where they'll be certified and so forth near the areas where they'll be selling the cars first, which I'm assuming going to be like California and so forth. But they will have repair centers. Yes, it's going to be growing pains where if you're really far away from their repair center, I'm hoping they would do what Tesla used to do, and I think they still do now. They do a remote service where they will pick your car up and then give you a different Tesla that you can drive around. I'm not really sure if it's happening now, but that's what they used to do. I'm hoping that Rivian will do that. They sure have enough money to do all of that, right? I mean, what between two and I almost spit all of myself. Between $2 and $3 billion, again, billion dollars that they got from Amazon and Ford and others and so forth, and Cox Automotive. So they should be okay with doing all of that. Let's see. Sanjeev asks, how do you think used car sales versus new car sales will be impacted due to the virus? I think it's all going to be, obviously people will be buying more used cars because obviously they're cheaper, but at the same time, more people will be holding on to their current cars, right? So the inventory of used cars may not be as big as it normally would be. So that might hold the prices up. At the same time, it's going to be all about how cheap you can buy a new car, right? The financing should be very cheap because that's where the interest rate, at least here in the United States, is very, very low. So sometimes in some cases, people will say, if we put $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 extra towards a newer car, we'll keep our same payments, except for we'll have a newer car with less problems and so forth. So I don't know, man. It's a great question. But off the top of my head, I don't know. It could be either or. Well, it will be either or, but I'm just saying I don't know which one is what I'm saying. Brian says it's a crazy homeless guy coming for you that heard what you said about them. Yeah, well, it's still going to be a long walk. Let's see. Brian Fenwick says current environment doesn't look good for any car maker, but what's your thoughts on Ford and General Motors? Can they, I'm assuming, can they survive going forward, especially with Ford's reduction to junk status at both credit rating regions? They're both very, very, very rich companies. I was just in Detroit, and they own the town, especially GM. I was a guest of the GM, right? Everything in Detroit, like you can see, owned by GM, like everything. So they have a lot of money. They have a lot of credit lines. They'll be fine in terms of going through this. Also, there will be another bailout, or at least right now it looks like they'll be getting loans, though the auto bailout in the United States was essentially a loan to the automakers. Not I believe pretty much everybody has paid it back with interest. I don't think U.S. government will let GM or Ford go belly up just like they did in 2009. So I think they'll be fine. It will be tough times, but hopefully that will also push them towards making electric cars. Michael S. asks, do you know why EV manufacturers are using more ultra caps to buffer the lithium ion batteries? Isn't regen braking more efficient with an ultra cap and easier on the battery? I have to say this is a little bit outside of my expertise. I'll ask this question. It would be an interesting question to ask Sandy Monroe, actually. So maybe, but I don't want to even speculate because I just do not have enough knowledge on that level of lithium ion batteries to give a good answer for that. And by good, I mean correct. Manuel asks, do you think since Ford is putting in a lot of money, they may even service Rivian? So that is possibility, right? Same thing with Amazon. Amazon might be, you know, delivering parts or accessories for Rivian, or maybe even the cars themselves. Like, who knows, right? Like, yeah, that's a great. I mean, not only Rivian got a lot of money from these companies, they're gonna get so much support and deals. As you know, Amazon has already put like 100,000 a van order. So Rivian doesn't even have to sell crap to any of us, right? They can just survive on that order alone, and then they're going to be making Ford's electric vehicles. It looks that way, and in exchange they'll get a know-how from Ford. You know what? I still have an interview with Rivian CEO, which I mainly has not released yet, and I don't know why. Let me put it on my to-do list, because I am sitting on this interview, which I thought I was going to use when some news comes out. But since there's no news, I should release it. Things that I end up remembering while doing live streams. All right, so because that's what we were talking about, how Rivian is going to be learning stuff from getting some know-how from Ford. Boom, there's a video right there. All right. Steve says, exciting news from Tesla as their autopilot is undergoing testing. For the beta testers, the car will stop at stoplights and stop signs. When it rolls out, it will be for self-driving only. You know, I really hope that one has no bugs. There's absolutely no wiggle room there, right? Like, you cannot have, you know, some truck blocking the street light and then the car not seeing the light and going through, and those collisions are so deadly. So I really hope they are pretty much as close to perfect as it gets, because one, obviously I don't want people dying or getting hurt, but secondly, I hope, because we don't want the autopilot getting into the news once again because it failed and killed someone. So I really hope it's ready. But it is exciting that technology is moving that direction, absolutely. Larry says, assuming we come out the coronavirus situation, any chance for good deals on new or used Model 3 in the light of Model Y delivery? So Larry, I just addressed that, but you did bring up a good point. So yes, I think because a lot of people won't be able to hold on to their payments with Teslas in cars in general, but Tesla in particular, there will be a lot of lease takeover deals, which I'll be totally looking into. And as much as I don't want to have a Tesla, but it might just force my hand. But I'll also be looking into other electric cars taking over a lease. And you're right, Model Y will essentially, I think Model Y will push out some of the Model 3 new owners out of not buying the Model 3 and then buying the Model Y. I'm not sure if Model Y will really affect the sale, how many used Model 3 cars going to be out there. I don't see too many people ditching the Model 3 because they now can get a Model Y. I just don't see enough for them to be able to make any big of a difference in terms of price. But at the same time, let's like all of these stats and all of these guesses are just that, right? A kind of educated guess, because of course more and more people would want to hold on to their now used cars. So we'll see. But yes, I do think just because of how many they've made, just because of people's leases are going to be over, and just because some people won't be able to afford the Model 3 cars and other Teslas, there will be a pretty good inventory, and I see, especially Model 3, the prices should start going under $30,000 used. And it's still going to be a great car, right? All right, let's see. Mitchell asks, do you know if there's any new electric vehicles that have more than 400 kilometer range in 2020? I'm from Australia. I believe I literally just did a video about that a few weeks ago. Hey Google, how many miles is 400 kilometers? Okay, 250 miles. I'm talking about EPA range, right? Okay. Sorry if I triggered your Googles, guys. Sorry about that. It should not reply to my voice, though. If your Google just replied to my voice, you should train it to just reply to your voice, like a dog, Good Google, good Google. Just crashed them behind me. You're right there. Um, new EVs that are coming out more than 250-mile range. You mean like coming out like this year? Because yes, so Lucid Motors. So let's go over them. Lucid Air is gonna have this baby right here. The new ones. Well, I didn't put the new ones here simply because I was only talking about the existing ones. But obviously Model Y. Oh yeah. So the Ford. Where's Ford? Ford Mustang Mach-E, but I think you won't be able to get one this year because they're all spoken for. Though I'm sure they'll have some dealerships that you'll be able to buy right away that are like top priced. But other than that, there are plenty of cars over 250-mile range, including the let's say Kia Niro EV. Even though they're rated by EPA relatively conservatively, like Kia Niro is probably around 300 miles realistic range. And the sister, sort of the sister car, which is a Hyundai Kona EV, and also a pretty good price, but over 250-mile realistic miles. The Chevy Bolt has upgraded already this year, so I think their mileage is also around 250 now. And these are all already in the market, so you have a pretty good choice. But I don't know how many of them are in Australia, so that's beyond my level of knowledge, unfortunately. IPR Ice asks why the Tesla stock glitch after hours at 5:50 p.m. 5 minutes drop to $272. What? No way. Maybe it is a glitch, but Tesla stock. Let's see. Oh yes, there is a glitch right here. I can see it. That's right. It's about 5:28 now, and it kind of closed at 5:14. But you're right, there was a glitch. I don't know if it's a glitch, but let's see. Wow, you're right. I don't know. That's an interesting question. So, yeah, I didn't know that. I will ask. Manuel asks, why do you think the Ford E pickup will be unveiled? When or what? I don't know when the Ford's gonna unveil their pickup truck, but it's all going to depend on what kind of an effect this whole pandemic crisis is going to take on the auto industry. Jeff asks, have you heard about full self-driving Tesla update with stoplights? We just talked about it. I've heard about it. I hope they release it when it's 100% ready. Again, you know, the horrible publicity, but most importantly, the deaths and injuries from that, if it's not executed perfectly, are going to be absolutely unacceptable. Brian asks, in your opinion, how far behind is the mainstream ICE manufacturers in catching up with Tesla, especially in regards to efficiency and full self-driving technology? Full self-driving technology, they're pretty far, I have to say, because they've never even thought that they're supposed to be software companies and have software engineers, really. Like, for example, Volkswagen right now is struggling. They've made a ridiculous amount of Volkswagen ID3s right now. They're like made and ready to go, except for they don't have the software. And there's a report in the last couple of days that they're still struggling to get their software into those cars so they're like usable. These companies need to figure out that they need to be in the battery business, like GM just figured out, and two, they are also in a software business. So full self-driving is really behind. As far as efficiency, honestly, I don't really. Yes, they're behind, but you know, don't forget they'll catch up. And I don't think I don't think a regular consumer doesn't give a crap about efficiency of the battery. Of the car, yes, but of the battery, because you know, electricity, gas is easy to waste and see the bill go up, right? But electricity is so relatively cheap and pretty much free if you have the solar panels, right? Or you're charging free at work. Then most people are not going to give a crap at all about the efficiency. I think it's just us nerds and people who are really into this bubble that kind of like can say, oh, this battery is efficient, this one's not. But by the way, don't forget, there's not just about the battery efficiency. So, you know, going back to Lucid is getting their batteries, I believe, from LG Chem. So this is kind of their standard chemistry or whatever, where Lucid says that they've succeeded. And I've talked to Peter Rawlinson, their CEO, a couple times about it. Where they've succeeded is making their motors so efficient that they don't need that much energy from the battery. So the battery may not be that efficient, but the motors are. So there's more to it than that. But they're all behind, they're all behind. But the batteries are now, if you have a battery that's over 200 miles and especially over 250 miles, you're good. Most consumers eat that up just fine, and that's more than satisfactory, obviously, because you refill every night. Brian says that he wants Kona EV. It is a great car. I absolutely do recommend it. Ideas to Life says, I shorted Tesla stock a few days ago. Feels like cheating on my girlfriend. Okay, that's a comment of the day. I shorted Tesla stock a few days ago. Feels like I cheated on my girlfriend. All right, well, don't tell her, I guess. Did you even make money? Because the stock have gone up a lot in the last couple of days. Larry says Kona EV and Neo EV available to all states now. I don't know, but if you really want one, I believe you can get one by having it delivered. I just don't know if they're going to be able to service it, so you might want to check on that. IPRI asks, do you think Tesla will make new ambulance? I don't think Tesla is going to be making new anything. They have a backlog, right? They just started producing Model Y. They got to figure out and build a factory to produce the Cybertruck. They're going to produce the semi-truck in limited, numbers, but that needs to be resolved at some point where they mass produce it somehow and figure out the space for that. And let's not forget the second generation Roadster that's not even scheduled for production. I think Tesla's done in terms of kind of announcing cars. And if they are going to announce something, I really believe it's going to be the Model 2 for $20,000 to $25,000. That's my opinion. Brian asked, what are you expecting from Tesla Battery Investor Day? I think I'm basically expecting them to announce the Maxwell technology with a new battery, with a 1,000-mile range and under 10 minutes of charging. That's what, or other 15 minutes of charging. That's what I'm expecting. Otherwise, I wouldn't be having a battery day at all. Ray asks, Alex, what do you think of a TFL talking about Model Y? TFL. Somebody tell me, am I supposed to know this? A TFL. Okay. Am I blanking on something that's supposed to know? Correct me, then tell me what TFL is. Okay. I asks, do Tesla Cybertruck come with flamethrower option? They do not, but I don't think you can even buy a flamethrower from Tesla. Well, first of all, it was a Boring Company product, so you can't buy that from Tesla anyway. But even from the Boring Company, you can't buy it. It's a limited edition. They all have numbers and stuff like that. So, is Tesla getting some of this bailout money? I don't know if they need the bailout money, because don't forget, the bailout money is something you have to pay back with interest. So if you don't have to, I would assume they wouldn't want to, but who knows? I mean, they just raised money also on top of all the cash they have. Truck and cars. Okay. TFL, truck and cars. But it doesn't stand for, okay. Alex, what do you think of talking about model? Ray, I didn't see that. So I'll try to check it out after this, but I don't know. And yes, they're getting bailout money. I mean, I don't know. I believe these companies have to take it. They're not just automatically having this money thrown at them. I don't know if they're taking it. As a matter of fact, let's Google it together, I guess. Let's say Tesla bailout money, already pre-fills news. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's the case, at least right now. So, but I think it's pretty early. IPRIs ask, do you think the coronavirus will speed up adoption of self-driving semis? Why would it? What's the connection? Because no. Here's the thing. I think the self-driving semis, I think the self-driving technology is being delivered as fast as possible anyway. I believe the first cars that are actually going to be using it are going to be ride-sharing services and Tesla. I don't think a lot of companies are going to be, or any companies are going to be putting that into cars that we can buy. And then maybe the semi-trucks will have that technology. But don't forget, it's such a tough sell. So that's another video that I need to make, because I do have the president and CEO of Volvo Trucks talking, a Volvo Group that owns Volvo Trucks, talking about what's going to be happening with the truck drivers with the whole self-driving technology coming in. And you have to understand, it's an old boys club, whatever. It's a they're a very tight. That industry is all about relationships, right? So it is kind of old school. So if trucking companies had relationships with Volvo trucks and other trucking companies, they don't want to rock the boat, right? So all of a sudden, they'll come in with a self-driving trucks, and everybody has to fire their truck drivers, or they're not needed as the owners, maybe single person owners. That's rocking the boat. And I don't know if these companies are really dying, like the automakers, the truck makers, really dying that much to roll that out. I think Tesla is going to be kind of leading the way, and I think Tesla, there's quite a few things they still have to figure out. So, Chris, is GM's Cruise automation / Cadillac Super Cruise close to match or equal to autopilot? Okay, so I just was in Detroit and got a great, I got a great tour of the factory where the bolts are made. I got to talk to Mary Barra for a while. I got to see all of their new cars, the new generation Bolt, the Hummer EV, and everything. Part of this thing, they did show us the GM Cruise. I was able, that the one without the wheel, I was able to see that in person, but they didn't give us a ride in it. But they did give us the Cadillacs with the Super Cruise, and I got to tell you, it is crap. I mean, first of all, it wasn't even available on the big stretch of the road, which was a highway for us at all. And when it just wasn't that good. And by the way, like their Super Cruise is just kind of keeping you in a lane. That's it. So yeah, no, it's nowhere near. I would not like. I thought it was embarrassing that they even rolled this out. So, but I do know a few people who absolutely love their Super Cruise because wherever they're driving, it works, and it works the way they want it. So, but to me, it's a level Autopilot 1.0 from 5 years ago, a type of technology. So, Devin asked, why is fuel prices are so low everywhere? What do you mean? Supply and demand. No one needs gas because we're all sitting at home here, and at least most of us. I don't know where you're watching me from, but like most of the country and most of the world is kind of on a lockdown right now. We're busy not being busy. So, all right, guys. Oh my God, I've been streaming for over an hour now. Listen, this is a daily thing, so hold your thoughts. No more questions. I will have to end this relatively soon. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. You can click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. And if you haven't liked the video, please click that thumbs up next to it. And of course, if you guys want to support the channel, I would appreciate, well, see, boom, right there, it says right there. I appreciate you becoming Patreons because normally I stream on Patreon and then repost the next day. So I appreciate you supporting my channel. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to try to do this tomorrow. I'm still figuring out which time is best. It looks like the evening, early evening. So I started it at what, 7 o'clock? 7 o'clock here p.m. here in California. So sorry, Chris, but tomorrow, just like I said, and then we'll do this tomorrow as well. I don't know if I need to have a topic. I kind of enjoy having a topic because also, like, I guess the YouTube promotes the video a little bit more, but we'll figure that out tomorrow. All right, guys, it was great hanging out with you. I'm gonna do it tomorrow, so I hope to see all of you guys back here tomorrow. Until then, don't forget to stay charged.